The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio. Coming up on the program today, it's all about mulching, the good and the bad mulches. Also, what to do with those strawberries after you've harvested them. Our guest will be author and radio personality, Niki Jabbour, and will answer your garden questions. And that all starts right now.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Welcome to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy that you allow us to be part of your day. I am your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make that grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Whether you're listening to us on one of the 15 stations that are carrying our program here on the AM and FM frequencies in North America, the radio app, the radio tab underneath our parent website, the radio tab there at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, podcast replay or in-studio video replay. Thank you so much for being with us. If you would like to be part of the program, it's very easy for you to do that. You can send us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to give us a call, you can do that toll-free, coast-to-coast, 1-800-927-SHOW, 1-800-927-SHOW. If we are unable to get to you, please leave a message and we will call you back. Well, Holly, before we get in the program, we had some problems with some squirrels out in our bird feeder. We were feeding them Wild Delight bird feed, premium Wild Delight bird feed. And what I had mistakenly done was gave them the wrong variety in the bird feeder, and we had some squirrel problems.
Right. They were eating the bird. They were climbing the pole. Right. And then even they were in the big garden. They attacked the one bird feeder.
Right. But Wild Delight has a bird feed. A bird food that is infused with chili oils, and that gets in the squirrels'
sinuses, nasal passages,
right,
whatever, and it they don't find that pleasant.
And we did that. We filled the bird feeder with the right bird feed, because some places we don't have problems with squirrels and other places we do, and because that chili oil in the bird food, the squirrels didn't come back. So we've solved that problem. So if you do have problems with squirrels tearing into your bird feeders or eating your bird feed, check out Wild Delight and their deterring squirrel mix that's got the infused chili oil in it. And the birds, it doesn't bother the birds, but it does bother the squirrels. Well, Holly, let's get into mulching. Mulching is an important aspect of gardening, and now there's good mulch, bad mulch, good reasons for mulching, and not so good reasons for mulching.
Right. So mulching is helpful because what it does is it can improve the conditions of the soil, but it also is helpful because what it does is it suppresses weeds and it holds in moisture. And I think that's probably the two most important reasons for mulching. A lot of times it also prevents, or it should prevent, diseases from splashing up on the leaves of the plants.
Now, some disadvantages: the mulch can block the sunlight, preventing the seeds from germinating. If you've planted, let's say, leaf lettuce and you've mulched over top of them, it's preventing them from growing. So if you're going to mulch, you kind of want to wait until, like if you're doing a large broadcast of seeds, until them come up. With tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, potatoes, it's easy because you got a central plant and you're mulching around it. But leaf lettuce or spinaches or radishes, that type of thing, you kind of have to wait so you don't smother them out. The other disadvantage to mulching, that it can invite and create an environment for insects such as slugs and earworms, cutworms, and other pests that like that cool, dark, damp environment. So that can be a disadvantage. But with the goods and the bad, you kind of balance it out, because in my opinion, the good outweighs the bad in this situation, utilizing mulch for your garden.
Right, I definitely would have to agree. So one of our favorite mulches is leaves, and the leaves that come down in the fall, the dry dead leaves, whatever you want to call them. So every fall we gather leaves from our neighbors, from in front of, from our own leaves, and then from the neighbors, and we gather those and then even save them for next year, or we put them on the garden.
Yeah, we'll get them out of the street in the urban environments. A lot of the neighbors throw them in the streets, and then if you catch it in time, the city has compiled all of them to a giant mound at the end of the street. And before they get it picked up, I can just go over there with the big giant Rubbermaid trash cans and get a dozen or 2 dozen and just top off the raised beds, and then also make a stockpile in the back of the garden. Now, at this point of the year, we're getting early portions of June. A lot of those leaves in which we have utilized as mulch early on is starting to dissipate because they're breaking down and feeding the soil, which is an advantage to the organic mulches.
Right. And actually, so another aside from the leaves, you can use straw. And actually, I have a friend who's in the greater Chicago area.
I thought you were going to say the straw business.
Not the straw business. He's in the greater Chicago area, and he was like, it's really hard for me to gather the leaves because they scoop them up so fast because of, rodents, city rodents, what have you, raccoons or rats or whatever.
Issues.
And so he's like, what can I use? And I was like, you can use straw. So what he did is he was having some compost from his local garden center delivered, and he asked for them to toss on a few bales of straw and had those delivered too.
Now, we want straw instead of hay. Straw is the stalk or the byproduct of the grain plant. Now, some people are not familiar with that, and that's why we're explaining what that is. Hay is the grasses that can contain lots of seeds that is baled up or made or grown for animal consumption. Straw is typically the bedding material for the animals. So you want the straw instead of the hay. Also, with grass clippings, it makes a great mulch if you get the right kind of grass clippings.
Right. So for grass clippings, you want to make sure that they don't have any weed seeds. So if you have like a back 40 area that the grass is growing, has the weed, it looks almost like
little white things on the top.
Yeah, like little white tassels.
And the grass doesn't have to be waist high in order to develop seeds. You can have grass that's 4 or 5 inches tall that will shoot up a seed stalk. So you want to be aware of this.
Right. So you want to make sure that they're weed seed free, and then also that they don't have any chemicals on them, whether you spray the chemicals or you pay somebody else to come to your home and spray the chemicals, because those chemicals are usually like a weed and feed with a highly aggressive broadleaf herbicide. And then when you put that herbicide, whether it be in your compost or just sprinkle it over your garden, that broadleaf is going to cling to the water molecules, and then it's going to get into your soil, and then it's going to essentially kill your plants.
Other good organic means of mulch are shredded paper. You can do that in your home. Not really that eye appealing, but it does work, and it doesn't blow away necessarily if you want to incorporate that with another mulch. We've never had a problem with the shredded paper blowing away. Pine needles work great. They're not acidic. They don't make your soil acidic. That is a garden myth. And it will actually take a little longer to break down, so it won't be like the leaves where it dissipates halfway through the growing season. One thing that is kind of good and kind of bad is wood bark or shredded wood, wood chips, good for perennial beds, not necessarily for the vegetable garden themselves. Though if you're going to go in a no-till method and allow the proper amount of time to do what the things need to do, and then just simply move the wood chips back, plant, and then bring the wood chips back around like a back to Eden garden method, that is a very good method of utilizing wood chips. We utilize wood chips around our perennials, our asparagus, and our raspberry beds. So those, it can be good and it can be bad. The reason why we don't want to use wood chips in the vegetable garden is you're typically tilling or loosening or planting or digging up potatoes or something of that nature, and you can incorporate those wood chips into the soil themselves, and as those break down, they rob the soil of nitrogen, which is a key element for plant development. That is what makes the plant green, and it can hamper the plant's growth cycle. So if you want to, you can kind of be cautious about the wood chips. Now, some inorganic types of mulches would be like the weed barriers. There are weed barriers now that are biodegradable.
But are they biodegradable? Is it like the peat pellets?
Well, yeah, that they're labeled as biodegradable, and it can actually, if you get a weed fabric or a weed barrier that's too tightly woven, it won't allow the water to penetrate through, because a lot of these things say keeps the weeds away, but allows the water and the sunlight and all this other stuff to get through, and they're made
A lot of gardeners hate weed barrier for that reason. One, the water doesn't go through. Two, a
It
lot of
pulls
times
up.
it pulls up. Three, even if it does say the water will go through, sometimes if the dust, if so, a lot of people will put weed barrier down and then they put mulch on top,
which is
or
not
stones,
what you don't want to do.
right, or stones or whatever, and that dust from that wood mulch or the stones gets caught in the fibers of that weed barrier,
Blocks the holes.
and blocks the holes, so the water still doesn't get through. So you want to be mindful of that wherever you put that.
It is weed barrier. There is a time and a place and an application for weed barrier. I don't think in the vegetable garden it is. Potentially in a side bed of some nature of some sort like that, if you get a loose enough woven weed barrier fabric to allow that dust to settle through and the water to penetrate, but greatly reduces the amount of weeds in which you're dealing with, then there could be a potential use for that. It's not biodegradable. I mean, some of the plastics are now more biodegradable that the big the big farmers, the organic farmers use as they're planting 5,000 tomatoes in a field. They block that down and they puncture holes in it and all that. But still, something to be aware of when it comes to mulches. There are synthetic, man-made, and there are organic. And if we're looking at doing things on a budget, the organic is the much more cheaper and better way to go, because you've got grass clippings. You typically have leaves in the fall if you want to stockpile them. Pine needles in some applications, shredded paper we all have, and as well as you can get straw if you know a farmer. If you are a farmer, straw is a good application, as well as for doing straw bale gardening. And then the bark and the wood chips, you can probably get, you can get chip drop, get a hold of them and have them deliver for using the wood chips around your perennials, as well as around the raised beds or your walk paths, and not incorporate those into the vegetable garden bed.
Right. Well, the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show is brought to you today by our sponsors, Walton's Inc. Listen, we know you care about where your food comes from, canning and preserving your fruits and vegetables. Freezing them is great, but what about the meat? At waltonsinc.com.
What about the meat?
At waltonsinc.com, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. I saw a huge buck run across the road today when I was out. It was like a prize buck, and all I could think about was hopefully somebody gets that guy in the fall. So if you want to make snack sticks that people will actually like, Walton's created meatgistics.com, an informational site to help you make the best finished product.
Well, they don't have to just get the buck. They can, if they have their cattle, their chickens, or whatever the case is, they can use Walton's for that too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm just saying, I thought about how tasty that buck probably is. So Walton's even has a full line of their own meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers, etc. to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's is everything but the meat. Again, that's waltonsinc.com or meatgistics.com.
Well, when we come back, hang around, because strawberry season is upon us, and it's easy to go out to the pick your own farm, or maybe you've got a giant patch of strawberries in your residence. But after you get 15 or 20 pounds of these, you can only eat so many with a little sugar on them in a bowl. We're going to go over a number of items in which you can use strawberries from post-harvest. You're listening to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show program to help your garden grow better.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
We here at the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show Gardens understand that healthy soil is the key to a successful garden. We know that chemical fertilizer burns carbon out of the soil and kills the microbes needed for a healthy soil ecosystem. No worries. Chicken Soup for the Soil by Dr. Jim's will stimulate life into your soil, supplying all the nutrients most fertilizers neglect. Rather than force-feeding water-soluble chemical fertilizer, we suggest feeding the microbes a smorgasbord of 100% biodegradable nutrients that your plants can consume when they need them. The nutrients are readily available to maximize their genetic potential. Chicken Soup for the Soil will increase the quality of the fruit and vegetables you grow. Visit drjims.com. That's JIMZ.com.
Gardening is the #1 hobby and birding is the #2 hobby nationwide. They go hand in hand. Birds help gardens grow by eating bad bugs. Reward them with Wild Delight's premium quality mixes. Wild Delight is filled with nuts and berries your birds will love and contains no filler ingredients such as cracked corn or Milo. Feed the birds the nutrition they need. This keeps your feathered friends coming back year after year for your visual delight and for the happiness of your garden. Keep your feeders full all year round with Wild Delight premium bird seed. Find out more at wilddelight.com.
Deer Defeat is an all-natural repellent to keep deer, rabbits, and groundhogs away from your precious plants. Deer Defeat protects your plants day and night, dries clear, and odorless. It will not clog your sprayer. Deer Defeat works for 30 days through rain, snow, and freeze. Safe, effective, and works on rabbits. Money-back guarantee. To purchase, go to deerdefeat.com and use code RADIO to save 10% on your order. Deer Defeat. It can't be beat. Do you know there's a real Tiger Torch? Visit TigerTorchLTD.com for more information. Rinse Kit. Pressurized water on the go. No pumping, no battery. Simply fill from your spigot or sink on the way out for up to 5 minutes of spray time. Anywhere. Live dirty. Rinse clean with Rinse Kit. If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear, non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts. Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com. Seed Savers Exchange has been saving, preserving, and sharing heirloom seeds since 1975, and today continues to provide those seeds for gardeners just like you. They have over 600 varieties. Visit seedsavers.org to request a free catalog or to purchase seeds online for this year's growing season. That's seedsavers.org. We've been using a game-changing tool called SeedLinked to find and review our seeds this year. It makes finding the right seeds simple. It is driven by growers' data, so you can really see what's best for your location. Check it out at seedlinked.com or download the mobile app today.
Dig planting holes from a comfortable standing position. Step, twist, pull, and plant. Visit ProPlugger.com.
The Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Simply Earth, Seed Savers Exchange, Quick Snap Sprinklers, Water Hoop, Timber Pro Coatings, Bloomin' Easy Plants, Pomona Universal Pectin, Ivy Organics, Tiger Torch, Happy Leaf LED, SeedLink. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy you're with us today. Happy that you allow us to be with you today. Well, as the summer months progress, we're getting close to summer, not officially summer yet, watering is a key to your healthy garden, your healthy trees, and we got a device that will help you that really does the work for you, and it's from Tree Diaper.
Tree Diaper is a revolutionary watering system that will slowly release water around the base of any tree or plant as the soil dries. The Tree Diaper is filled with water from rain or when you water, and it slowly releases water over 3 weeks. Every time it rains, Tree Diaper recharges. No pipes, hose, or electricity needed. Water your plants and trees, whether they are by the house, down the road, or in the back 40. Also works under mulch. Whether you're a first-time gardener or advanced, Tree Diaper will improve the way you water your plants. Made in the USA, you can find all the information, the sizes they have available at treediaper.com. That's treediaper.com.
Well, it's strawberry season, and when you go and either if you have a patch of strawberries in your yard, which we had for a number of years, or you decide to support your local, pick your own farm, picking the strawberries is the easy part. Getting them home and then figuring out what to do with said strawberries can be a challenge. Many people may just pick enough to have a week worth of slice them up, put a little sugar on them, and whipped cream and be done with it. And that's part of the way it works. Other people choose to pick 15 or 30 pounds of strawberries, and then they have a somewhat of a plan. Now, our strawberry patch, typically strawberries in a backyard, we had June bearing, they last between 5 and 7 years. And there was a year there where we got 15 pounds of strawberries off of our patch. Now, strawberries, in some people's opinion, is not the most greatest utilizing of space because you have to keep them alive, whether in a container or in the ground for
The
a year.
best use of real estate.
You're right. For 50 weeks out of the year, and then for 2 weeks they do their thing, and then that's it. So that's just what I think. If we could do it again, we had a larger area, we could do strawberries. But doing strawberries in a container or a gutter system, it just doesn't make sense because you've got to baby this thing, keep it alive. So
anyway,
once you supported or picked your strawberries, what are some options besides just eating them real quick? Because these things have a shelf life.
Right. So one thing you want to keep in mind is that you have to process them quickly. They're not going to be good after. They're not like sometimes when you go to the store.
They're like a peach or an apple.
Right. Sometimes when you go to the store and you buy your little carton of strawberries, and it might be okay for like 5, 6, 7, 8 days, especially in your fridge. But those are because they've been shipped from somewhere else and are typically picked early, whatever. So when you're picking the strawberries ripe off the plant, you only have a couple days. So you want to make sure.
And it's how you put them in the box. If you ding them up, they're going to bruise, and then all of them around them turn white with fuzz.
Right. So you want to keep that in mind. You want to process them quickly. If you pick them that day, make sure when you bring them home, you put them in somewhere cool. It can be in a fridge, or if you have like a cooler area of the home, you can keep them in. That's good too. So with that being said, you want to, if maybe you're like, I don't know what I want to do with these, but I do want to do something and I'm not really sure and I don't have time now, you can freeze them. So what you would do is you would just cut the tops off. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to simply just, if it's a process where you want them to be pretty, you would flash freeze them on a baking sheet, a cookie sheet, what have you, and then put them in the freezer bag. If it's something where
flash freeze, what are we talking about? Can we do this with our regular freezer?
Yeah.
Or do we? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So your regular freezer, you just clear out some space, put all the strawberries on a cookie sheet on one layer.
Intact, full, not sliced.
Yeah, full strawberry. I mean, you can slice them.
Okay.
But typically you do it intact. And then once they're frozen, it doesn't take very long. Once they're frozen, you put them in a freezer bag, and that way they stay strawberry shaped.
Until you thaw them.
Until you thaw them.
Because when you thaw them, they're not going to be that beautiful field-shaped strawberry. They're going to be deflated. The flavor is still there. The juices are still there. The shape is not there.
But they're less,
sweet?
No. Like, if you just throw strawberries in a bag and then thaw them, they're a little bit more mushy and just like a blob of strawberries. Mm-hmm. These are, you can tell there's
separate.
Different.
They're separate, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you flash freeze them, because you froze them so they didn't bond together when they were fresh in the freezer.
Right. And if you're going to use it in something like smoothies or whatever, or maybe you're going to partially thaw and you just want to pull out like a handful of strawberries, it's a lot easier to pull out a handful of individually frozen strawberries.
Essentially like you buy at the store, the mixed bag of fruit.
Yeah.
And you just grab and they're all loose because they've all been separately frozen before combining with each other.
Right. Exactly. So that's one thing you can do to your strawberries. Another fun thing is making pie filling. And so if you make strawberry pie filling, you need something called clear gel, and you need the cook type. You don't want the instant, you want the cook type. And unfortunately, you can only buy this online.
What?
I don't know why. Like, it's not, you can't find it in person. You might be able to find some random Amish farm store that sells it, but for the most part, you can't find it. So you have to buy it online. But it's the cook type clear gel. You can make beautiful pie filling, and it's delicious.
Other things, you can make strawberry jam with it, and you can use pomona pectin, which is a low sugar item that gels makes the jelly or makes the jam. Unlike traditional jam items, you have to add a lot of sugar. Pomona pectin, you don't have to add much sugar to making the jam.
Right. And if your jam doesn't set up because you've never made jam before, then you can have strawberry syrup.
Right. So what is the difference between jam and jelly for those who hear those terms but aren't familiar with what those mean?
Jam usually has the chunks of fruit in it, and jelly is just like from the liquid.
So you could make strawberry jelly.
Yeah.
Okay. Or
you
jam.
You would have to essentially juice the strawberries.
Okay.
Most people don't do that. They like the pieces of strawberry.
But pomona pectin, very easy to use, and it's good for people who may not want a lot of sugar in their...
Right, because strawberries are pretty sweet as they are. So strawberry vinegar, we did this one year. It's when you take and you put strawberries in vinegar. You want to use a white vinegar, just like a regular store-bought vinegar. You put the strawberries in it. You leave it, I don't know, for a couple days. There's different recipes online, and then you can make delicious salad dressings with it. There's a lot of things you can do, and it's tasty.
And it keeps for basically forever because it's vinegar.
Right.
And it's the white 5% vinegar that you're getting when you're doing that. So
I mean, one of my favorite things is adding them to a salad. So if you have some homegrown lettuce and you have some fresh strawberries, it's really good. You can use like a balsamic dressing for it. Really gives a nice color to the salad, flavor. It's tasty.
Well, the shortcakes, the muffins, and the pie, if you've never done and never had fresh fruit in your muffins, like blueberries or blackberries or strawberries, it's a whole nother thing compared to this, the dehydrated ones you get in the pre-made box that you just mix up with whatever the ingredients, pour it in a little tin and bake it.
Right. It's very fresh and delicious. And then another option is a smoothie. So you can mix it with other fruit, bananas, whatever. There's a lot of different ideas for that online as well. It's kind of like, you can capitalize on your fresh strawberries. I like to just, like you had mentioned, just dip them in some sugar, stand there and eat them in the kitchen as a quick snack. Whatever, that's a good option as well.
Well, those are some things you can do with the strawberries. Let's talk a little bit about if you don't have, and many people don't have vast acreages of berries to pick on their property, you can go to what they are called, and we mentioned earlier, a pick your own farm. You go up, they take you to the field, and they tell you, here's the row you pick, and you got a big box, and they want you to pick all the ripe ones, not just the large ones. And they do have the option of where you can just buy the fresh ones that they have picked themselves, so you don't have to pick them, but there is a premium to that. But it's the experience.
Right. If you have kids, it's fun. There's a couple of them by us that you can go on a little wagon ride thing. They take you
to the back of the field.
Yeah, to the back of the field.
To me, not exciting because I grew up on a farm. That's like, okay, fine, yay, okay.
Right, but as city folk,
you city folk,
we like it.
Yeah,
it's exciting for us.
Can we go again? No, just let me off and you guys go again.
Go
That's
to
fine.
the farm.
Yeah.
One time I remember we were out there and they took us on what is that? A gator, rhino?
Yeah, a rhino, a mule.
Mule. The little ATV.
Not the animal, but the 4-wheel drive ATV with the roll cage.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And because the wagon wasn't coming and some, I don't know, whatever. I remember my niece was with us and she was like, "What the heck is going on?"
Well, she experienced relieving herself in nature
behind the straw bale.
Behind the straw bale, yeah. That was the first time she'd ever knew that you could do that.
Right. My sister and I are pros at that, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
How can people find out if they have or where to locate a pick your own farm at near them?
You just simply go to your favorite search engine and type in pick your own strawberries.
Near me.
Sometimes if you're on social media, you can find that information. Friends, family, coworkers. A lot of times, if you don't know, somebody else does. I don't even know how we found our farm, but that we like to go to. I don't probably social media. So that's just it. You go to
and if you've never done this, the comparison is non-comparable from the store-bought, even in the organic store-bought ones, compared to you physically going out in the field, seeing the plant, and harvesting them. Because a lot of these farms are organic, whether they're certified or not. That's a totally different thing. But they're not in the business to poison the food that you're picking for them to make money off of you.
Right, and it's good. It's fun. It's an experience. It's tasty. And you can snack a little bit while you're out there, and it's a good time. I would highly recommend it. And there's other berries that you can pick yourself.
Right.
Not as prolific, I don't think, as strawberries, but if you are looking for pick your own farms, you can just type in pick your own, and you might find a lot of options.
Right. So as summer is in full swing, it'll be officially summer in a couple of weeks, but the temperature is warming up, and we're not going back, I don't think. And the nasty Japanese beetles, and they're wreaking havoc on our gardens, Holly.
Yeah, if you're looking to successfully control the beetles without damaging the environment, look no further than Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts. It's derived from a naturally occurring soil bacteria. Beetle Gone is the only organic solution that successfully controls beetle invaders. Just mix the powder with water and spray it on your plants. Once ingested, the targeted pest will stop feeding and die. And since it's an organic BT product, you know it's a great choice to use on your fruits and vegetables in addition to your ornamental flowers and trees.
Not only does Beetle Gone work, but what I like most about it, Holly, is this product is safe to use around beneficial insects such as ladybugs, butterflies, and bees, and has no issue with water toxicity. Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts. That's PHYLLOM bioproducts.com. Check them out. They've got the products that will fix the problems that you're having in your garden with the Japanese beetles. Well, when we come back, do not go anywhere. Stay right where you're at. Author and radio Garden Talk host Niki Jabbour will be with us. You're listening to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio
Have
show.
a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
This week's garden tip is brought to you by Yard Glider, the cart without wheels, loads without lifting, hauls more, dumps faster, built to last, and built for hard work. Multiple sizes available at yardglider.com. That's yardglider.com. Plant damage identification is much easier than you may think. If you can find the bug in which is doing the damage, you can take a photograph with your mobile device and do an image search for that bug to find out what it is and how dangerous it can be to your garden, and then figuring out whether you need to go through an organic or potentially chemical method of removal. In most instances, plant damage will be minimal. You will have a balance of good and bad bugs in your garden, and you will not have to do much of anything. This week's garden tip was brought to you by Yard Glider, the cart without wheels, loads without lifting, hauls more, dumps faster, built to last, and built for hard work. Perfect for homeowners, arborists, hunters, landscapers. Pull it behind an ATV, a lawnmower, or pull it yourself. Multiple sizes available at yardglider.com. That's yardglider.com. The number one key to healthy, productive plants are the roots. Starting from seed to full-grown plants, rootmaker.com has the answer. From seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots, creating a fabulous root system, never again will you have root-bound plants, to multiple gallon grow bag sizes to raised beds. Rootmaker.com has your grow needs covered. Visit rootmaker.com. Use coupon code RADIO21 and get 15% off your entire order. Good bugs to eat bad bugs. RinconVitova.com. Call or email today 1-800-248-BUGS. You move your lawn sprinklers all over the yard, but you always end up putting them in the same spots. Why not just bury them there? Out of sight, always ready to use, pre-adjusted to water the precise areas you want. Quick Snap Sprinklers makes it easy. In-ground sprinklers without the hassle or expense of laying pipe. Put the sprinklers anywhere in your lawn or garden. Snap on a hose to supply the water. Water on, it pops up. Water off, it drops below ground. You can mow right over it. You can have a buried sprinkler system up and running in just minutes. Each Quick Snap saves thousands of dollars. They install in minutes and operate for years. Visit quicksnapsprinkler.com. Is your dog that's causing dead spots in your lawn? Dog urine can burn lawns and ruin the appearance of your lawn very quickly. Fortunately, our friends at Nature's Lawn has a solution for this problem with their Spotless Lawn product. Spotless Lawn's three-way action helps neutralize dog urine, helps move it through the root zone, and then helps the grass recover. If there's still life left in the grass, Spotless Lawn will help resuscitate it. Visit natureslawn.com and look for Spotless Lawn. That's natureslawn.com and look for Spotless Lawn. Brought to you by Blue Ribbon Organics, providing locally made organic compost and soil blends for gardens, farms, landscaping, and more. Visit blueribbonorganics.com or call 262-497-8539 to find their products nearest you. The Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Blue Ribbon Organics, Naturally Green Products, Ironwood Tool Company, Easy Step Products, Rinse Kit, Soul Brew Kombucha, Wild Delight, Rincon Vitova, Chip Drop, BaleBuster.com. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Garden with Joe and Holly radio show. Moments away, author and Garden Talk radio host Niki Jabbour. But first, do you have carpenter bees? Have you had carpenter bees? You don't want carpenter bees. And Rescue has a trap stick that can prevent them from doing damage on your property.
These, Rescue Carpenter Bee Trap Stick also works on wasps, mud daubers, and carpenter bees bore holes and tunnels into wood to lay eggs and care for their larvae. These holes and tunnels in the wood invite mold or rot into homes, decks, fences, and any other wood structures. So spring is the best time to catch carpenter bees before they mate, but trapstick can be used throughout the summer and early fall to control them. Rescue makes a carpenter bee trapstick that is simple to use and pesticide free. You hang the trapsticks from the wood structures you want to protect. You can go to carpenterbeecontrol.com to watch a video about carpenter bees and learn how to prevent them with the trapstick from Rescue. Like all Rescue products is made in the USA, you can go to rescue.com or carpenterbeecontrol.com.
Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Niki Jabbour is a writer, radio show host, year-round vegetable gardener, speaker, and award-winning author. She's also one of the 3 garden experts at SavvyGardening.com. Welcome to the program, Niki.
Hey, guys. Hey, Holly. Hey, Zoe. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be back.
Well, thank you for being taking time out of your day. I know you were on the show about season 3, and we figured it was time to have you back on the program.
Well, I am glad to be back. It's always great to talk gardening, right? Especially now that we're at the cusp of that planting season and everything's going in the garden. It's an exciting time.
It definitely is an exciting time. So you are the year-round vegetable garden expert, and we will get to that. But let's talk about your newest book, Growing Undercover, Techniques for More Productive, Weather-Resistant, Pest-Free Vegetable Garden. You explain how to use low tunnels, row covers, etc. to extend the season and help with the continual varied weather that we seem to be having and continuing to experience. Now, some people may think like, I'm not going to use a low tunnel because it's useless. The weather is going to do whatever it wants to do. But how do simple things like using low tunnels or shade cloth help? What is some of the science there, especially for those apprehensive to try?
Yeah, my garden covers have been a game changer, I think is the best way to think of it in my garden. And they're my garden insurance because I live in Zone 5B. We have long, harsh winters. We have, lovely summers, but lately, the past, decade or so, they're drier. And when it does rain, it's like downpours for like half an hour, which can wash away seeds and seedlings. We get hurricanes, we get nor'easters. So the weather is more unsettled. So all of these covers I use, they help me prevent pest problems like deer, rabbits, groundhogs, potato beetles, cucumber beetles. They help me extend the season year round. And they also protect, and create microclimates around my plants just during especially those shoulder seasons of spring and fall. So I use a lot of different types of covers. To increase yield and protect from pests, everything from a row cover, which can be temporary protection, just even for frost for a night or two. I mean, I know the day I put my tomatoes in, which is today, I usually would get a frost in the evening. It's pretty much a guarantee. And, instead of just saying, well, it's not going to work, I'm not going to bother trying, a simple row cover or, even an old bed sheet over top of your tomatoes is going to protect them. So why wouldn't I do that? It's just, making sure that the tomatoes I planted survive and get to grow and produce their yield for me. You could also use a mini hoop tunnel in the garden for weeks in the spring or in the fall. And that's just hoops covered in clear plastic or row cover. You can DIY them in like 5 minutes, capture solar energy, create some microclimate around vegetables. And I like to use them over things that, well, as you guys know, need a lot of heat, like tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, melons. When you live in a cool climate, especially in spring, it's not always great weather for those heat-loving crops. So using a mini hoop tunnel for a week or two in spring, again, just garden insurance to make sure they're going to basically produce their maximum harvest and grow really well. So for me, that's one of the main reasons. Also for pests, like I get cabbage worms. I do have deer. I just watched 3 bunnies dancing in my backyard, and I'm like, please don't come in the garden. Potato beetles, squash bugs, vine borers, all of these things. So again, there's so many types of covers you can use to reduce damage and enjoy that homegrown harvest.
Well, when you speak about that insurance, whether you've grown and started, 70 or 80 or 100 tomato plants, or you went and bought 50 tomato plants, there's an investment of cost and time that, it's great to know that the garden center is there, that if you do have an oops, you can go grab 2 or 3, but whenever you you have to go grab another 50 or 60, that's going to hurt.
Exactly. And like you say, I grow most of my own, about 95% of my own seedlings. So if I lose the tomatoes I grew, to a deer or to frost, then I'm not going to be able to grow those again until next year. So it's protective covers. It just means I'm going to get to enjoy the varieties I've planted. So, and saves money, like you say. Win-win. What can you do?
Now, you encourage your listeners and your readers to try different types of edible plants than they normally would grow. If someone is trying to space savvy what they're growing and trying something new, what are some tips that you would encourage them to use without having to commit to a large area to grow something?
Yeah, I love experimenting in my food garden. There are so many crops, so many varieties to try, even in a short season region like mine, of course. And there's plenty of ways you can garden and try a lot of these things in small spaces. You could grow vertically by planting vining vegetables, new types of pole beans, or just some unusual vining vegetables like cucumbers. My current obsession is cucumber melons, which are botanically muskmelons, but they're grown in the Middle East as cucumbers, and they have a cucumber flavor, never bitter. They are just so delicious, and they grow really well for me in Zone 5B. Or you can plant small space-saving varieties that don't grow super large. You guys know plant breeders have been so busy to create compact growing varieties, and like even ultra dwarf tomatoes like micro tom, bush cucumbers, tumbling tom tomato, winter squash that are just bush plants, so they don't get more than 3 to 4 feet across, and you can still get 5 or 6 fruit from them. So you don't have to give up your back 40 or give up your whole yard just to have a couple winter squash and pumpkin plants. So there's so many different varieties you can try now. There's a new one this year called Pot o Pino Jalapeno. And I literally about 20 minutes ago just put it in a hanging basket, my seedling in my greenhouse, and it's going to go on my back sunny deck in the next couple of days. That's a really compact variety of a jalapeno pepper that's going to give me, dozens of fruits, but not need big space in a garden bed. So I would say read your seed catalogs carefully. If you're not growing your own, then look at the garden centers very carefully and read the tags and look for things that are compact or bush growing, but don't be afraid to try new things. I mean, you guys know how fun it is to try new flavors in your home garden. I always tell people to try at least one new thing every year, if not 10. But, try at least one new thing every year. It's so much fun.
Well, and even now when most of our gardens are getting almost filled up, seed companies have to get rid of these seeds. So this might be a good time to kind of explore and see if you can get a deal on these and save them to next year, which are perfectly good to plant a year from now.
Totally. That's a great tip too. Yeah. Shopping now, I try to buy all my seeds for the whole year at once, or, in late winter, early spring. So that, when I'm succession planting, when I'm planting for fall and winter, I have everything I need. But if you can get deals right now, I'd be ordering and then just storing those seeds in a cool, dry place till next spring.
Definitely. So your book, The Year-Round Vegetable Gardener, is known and loved by thousands of gardeners. Someone may have raised beds now and they want to convert it into a cold frame to keep it year-round. Can they convert the raised bed into a cold frame? How would they do so? And what's another simple tip you would love to encourage people to check out your book?
Yeah, that book is now 10 years old, but it's still my number one selling book. And I wrote Growing Undercover, my newer one, to kind of talk about all the things I've been doing the past decade, and all the other ways I use covers. And of course, the fact that so many people have greenhouses now, or polytunnels, or geodesic domes. There's been a huge gardening and greenhouse boom the past year with the pandemic. So I wanted to give people lots of strategies for that. But the year-round vegetable gardening, you can totally convert a raised bed into a cold frame. I mean, first of all, you can now buy cold frames. When I started using them 20 years ago, you couldn't really. I couldn't find any. You had to build them yourself. So I do, and I have many, many times. But you can buy like polycarbonate ones that just kind of fit right on top of your raised bed. If you have something like a veg trug raised bed, there's a cold frame that matches it. Or again, you can DIY your own. Or you can make like a drop top for the top of a raised bed, and then store that in summer when you don't need it, and then bring it out and attach it. Just lay it on top in the fall, so you can then enjoy vegetables into fall and winter. For the most part, the tops of my cold frames are held on with hinges, so it's pretty easy to do. You can build a cold frame, if you're semi-handy in a day or two, so it's kind of like a weekend project. I like to use like Lexan polycarbonate, which is 8 mil thick, because I find it's a really nice, durable material that lets lots of light in, but it doesn't break like glass would. But another tip is if somebody's thinking about extending their season and kind of getting into that, the easiest way to do that is, in terms of getting started in season extension, is with mulching. You can deep mulch beds of root crops like carrots, parsnips, beets, celery root, or even stem crops like leeks. in late autumn before the ground freezes with shredded leaves, with straw, and then you can harvest all winter long. And honestly, a lot of vegetables, especially those root crops, taste even sweeter in winter because the starches convert to sugar. So that's just an easy and usually free way to extend your season that doesn't require any special skills. It's really easy to do.
Perfect. So we're talking with Niki Jabbour. She's an author, radio show host, and year-round vegetable gardener.
Now, Niki, in your area, you have a chemical ban where you live. Most people are probably not familiar with that. So how do you deal with the bad bugs and even invasive weeds to some degree?
You know, it's so funny. I have completely forgotten that people don't have a chemical ban. It's been over 20 years. I mean, yeah, it's just natural. Like, it's so weird to me that there's places that don't have, that you can still go buy weed and feed for your lawn. Like, I don't even know. It's been decades since I could do that. Yeah, we have a chemical ban here in Nova Scotia, as well as much of Canada, really. So I can't go buy weed and feed to kill weeds in my lawn. I can't go buy some, diazinon type sprays to spray on the bugs in my garden. And it has not changed my garden life at all. It hasn't, a lot of people were worried at first, I think, that we were going to have this influx of weeds everywhere and crazy bugs, but that didn't really happen. I think, people became a little more tolerant of weeds in their lawn, but a lot of people also became proactive and planted some clover in there as well, like dwarf white Dutch clover, to create that nice, dense green lawn. And when mixed with grass, I mean, it fixes nitrogen from the atmosphere. It looks really nice and dark green all summer long, and it chokes out weeds. So we have beautiful lawns here, although a lot of people are replacing them with food gardens, thankfully. But yeah, it hasn't been a big deal at all. So I rely on organic practices, which I've always done anyway. And the key to success, I think, is diversity. I plant a wide range of vegetables and herbs and annual flowers. There's perennial flowers in my backyard around my garden, flowering shrubs. They attract so many different types of beneficial and pollinating insects, which reduces pest population. So I hate to say it out loud because I'm going to have to knock on wood, but I rarely have problems with pests. For the most part, the good bugs keep them in balance. And my backyard has become a wildlife haven. Birds, butterflies, they love the garden as much as I do. And I think that's awesome. And if people are looking for maybe some good plants to include in their food garden, some of my favorite beneficial bug plants include things like nasturtiums, sweet alyssum. That's one of the best ones you can plant in your food garden. Sunflowers, zinnias. The key, again, is diversity, having a range of vegetables and different flowers there to attract and support these good bugs. Again, no problems in my backyard with bugs at this point, except for slugs. Can you do anything about that, guys? Because they drive me crazy.
Beer. Slugs really like beer.
We don't waste good Canadian beer on slugs. Come on.
Well, and you bring up a good point, because you look at the prairies, you look at the forest, everything naturally is in check. There's no real, infestation of this bug, this weed, that tree, because nature takes care of itself.
Exactly. That's an excellent point. Yeah. So yeah, it really, people don't even think twice about it here now. It's just the way it is. And we all garden that way. And honestly, it works great.
Well, Niki, we greatly appreciate you coming on the program. How can people find out more about your books? And if they are able to, how can they listen to your radio show weekly up there in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, well, I'm at savvygardening.com is my website. I own with Jessica Walliser and Tara Nolan, two other garden writers. And of course, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter as Niki Jabbour. And then my radio show is every Sunday live Sunday mornings. And I usually post it on my social media so people can get the link there. But it's just the station website. People listen live from anywhere. We have a lot of American listeners as well as those across Canada and the UK on news957.com. And it's a lot of fun. Like you guys know, it's so much fun to chat with people and learn new things every week, because gardeners can never know everything. And I tell you, every single conversation I have, I get tips and ideas for my own garden. So thank you very much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Well, we thank you for taking time and listening, not only sharing your information with Holly and myself, but all of our listeners.
Thank you. Take care, guys. Have a good season.
You too.
Thank you.
And when we come back, it's going to be your garden questions, our garden answers. You're listening to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Make watering easy. DripWorks provides quality drip irrigation supplies and equipment to gardeners just like you for all your growing needs across the U.S. and Canada. Purchase online at dripworks.com.
The water hoop is a portable water sprinkler system that allows you to target water evenly around the root ball of your tree or bush. Conforms to various shapes for your watering needs. The water hoop reduces runoff and saves money. Visit waterhoop.com.
Straight from the farm, fields, and briar patch, Piper and Leaf Artisan Tea is a tea like you've never imagined it. Get our award-winning tea delivered right to your front door and become part of the Piper and Leaf family. Free shipping over $75 at piperandleaf.com.
We know that you appreciate the value of a beautifully landscaped yard, but tackling such a project yourself can seem way too complicated, right? Bloomin' Easy Plants are the answer. Their plants are low maintenance and offer exceptional beauty and color for your yard. Plus, they offer free seasonal care reminders with simple how-to videos tailored to the plants that you choose. With Bloomin' Easy on your side, creating the yard that you've always wanted becomes as easy as plant, water, and relax. Check them out at your local garden center or by visiting bloomineasyplants.com. Chip Drop is a website you can sign up for free wood chip mulch delivery right to your door. For free, Chip Drop connects homeowners and gardeners with tree services who are trying to get rid of their wood chips. You can also sign up to get free logs and firewood. Go to chipdrop.com to learn more and sign up for a free account.
Protect your plants against damage with a 3-in-1 plant guard and special blend fertilizer. Visit ivorganics.com.
Now that your garden is in place, help your plants grow with Chapin's sprayers. Use our hose-in and handheld sprayers to feed your plants and control pests. Set up a fertilizer injector to water and feed at the same time. Cover large areas with a backpack or ATV sprayer. Chapin equipment is available at all major home improvement and hardware stores and online at www.chapinmfg.com. Chapin, cover more ground.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PimonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
The Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Pro Plugger, Dripworks, Waltons Incorporated, Tree Diaper, Janie's Mill, Phylum Bioproducts, Chapin Manufacturing Incorporated, Nature's Lawn and Garden Incorporated, Deer Defeat, Dr. Jim's, Rootmaker. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Hopefully we have been able to provide you with some content or entertainment that brightens your day and helps your garden grow better. It's time for your questions, our answers. If you've got a question, you want to be part of the show, you can get a hold of us 2 different ways is the easiest. One being give us an email, send us an email at gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to talk to us, you can call us toll free, coast to coast, 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-SHOW. If we can't get to you, please leave a message and we will call you back. Holly, we had a number of questions come in. We'll see how many we can get to the top of the hour.
Okay, so a question came in. I bought several hanging baskets. The flowers are doing great, but I see on the top of the soil what looks like round egg-shaped things that are slit open. Do I have some bugs that have hatched? What do I need to do?
Those are not eggs. Those are fertilizer pellets or beads or whatever capsules, that the manufacturer or the garden center applies in their time release, and after they get water on them and they break open and they feed your plants. So not a bug. Good observation. Nothing to worry about. Keep the hydration on the plants because it's going to get warm, and typically most people will get hanging baskets, either purchase them for themselves or for a gift, and a week later they're dead because you forgot to water.
Right.
If you want to go with dripworks.com, they have a number of irrigation systems for that type of application so you can keep your flowers and your hanging baskets healthy all season long. Also, hanging baskets do not have to be just flowers. You can grow like Tiny Tim tomatoes. You can grow other small vegetables. Leaf lettuce is another one that you can grow in it. Okay, another question. I found some potatoes sprouting underneath my cabinet, Holly. They are firm, and they have sprouts about 9 inches long. Can I plant them? If so, should I pinch off the sprouts or not?
Yeah, no, you can plant them. You don't want to pinch off the sprouts. You don't want to if you have a larger potato that might have several sprouts, and you can cut it without you can cut it to get multiple potato seedlings or whatever you want to call them.
Division. You can divide the tuber.
Divide the potato. You can do that. Otherwise, you can just put the potato in the ground with the sprout up. Plant the meaty part in, then the sprout up towards you. But yeah, you leave the sprouts and you can plant them like that. You have to make sure that you want to make sure your soil temperature is not above 85 degrees. Typically, depending on where you are, it shouldn't be right now, but you never know.
Well, through the growing season, if you're in like Northern California or Southern California, that is, soil temperature can exceed that. And the reason why we emphasis on that is because potatoes, if that temperature exceeds 85 degrees Fahrenheit soil temperature at root zone, the plant will shut down, regardless of what stage of development the tubers are in. Sweet potatoes, on the other hand, can handle that type of temperature. Normal, I guess we define them as normal tuber potatoes, cannot.
Right. Okay, so the question is, I've recently moved into a house in the Boston area that the previous owners have kept a very nice lawn with no weeds that I can see and a nice thick blanket of grass. I have a riding mower, and since I've never had a lawn like this before, in my old house, the grass was cut short and that was that. I'd like to keep it nice looking. How often, how low should I mow? Should I be cutting the grass?
Well, optimally, if you we're other from the Boston area, so you probably should have cool season grass, and which cool season grasses are grasses that typically thrive in cold winters and hot summers, typically 65 to 75 degrees. That's when they grow their ultimately. Spring and fall is their biggest growth cycle. So you shouldn't have a problem there. What you want to do is, I would recommend 4 inches high. You may think that that's excessive, but 4 inches high, and you cut it at 4 inches, so you'd only want to take about a third of the plant off at a cutting. 4 inches high, that leaves you a big, thick blanket of grass. It shades out the weeds. You don't have to do a whole lot of chemical application. You can do organic means of weed removal, but whenever you have that 4-inch tall blanket of grass, you have the clover that can grow on the base. It doesn't get too high. It will still flower. You can get the bees and the insects in that grass. You can have an ecosystem, but you're not mowing it down to the ground. So about 4 inches, you can take about a ½ inch off at a time and keep it nice and manicured. And there's nothing better than to walk out on a grass that doesn't have weeds and thistles and all that barefoot. There's no carpet comparison. It's just this very unique feeling barefoot in a very pristine lawn that is just grass.
Right.
So, Holly, I want to plant rosemary and lavender together. Can I do that? Will that work?
So essentially, no. You can.
The answer is no.
No. I mean, you can. It might not work because lavender is a shade plant and rosemary is a full sun plant. So if you have like,
well, we do the hanging basket.
You can do the hanging basket.
We do it in our kitchen.
Right. So if you want to, maybe you only have space in a shade area or a sun area and you want to grow both plants, what you could do is as Joey mentioned, do a hanging basket. So maybe you have a full sun area, you want to put the rosemary there, have a shady area, you put it in a container and just stick it on your back porch or wherever you have the shade. But there's nothing wrong with planting them together in theory. It's just that the shade versus the sun is what the problem is.
I mean, it should be able to handle sun without too much difficulty, but keep that in mind. So, with that being said, we are out of time and we appreciate yours. Did you miss any portion of today's program or want to revisit that? You can certainly do that by going to the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com website. That's our parent website, and clicking on the Season 5 tab at the top of the page. You can also catch all 4 seasons past on the specific tabs associated with them. Or if you'd like to make it much easier, we can do that for you by you sending us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com and asking for this show. Do not miss the program next week. We'll be going over common garden myths. We haven't covered that topic in a number of years, so we're going to debunk some of the most common ones and what to do if you've already done them, as well as how has the pandemic shaped the garden landscape that we know of. So, and then our guest will be author Christine Willingham out of California, talking about growing fruit trees in containers. So, until next week, for
Holly Baird.
I'm Joey Baird, and we will see you in the garden.